Hey, good afternoon. Today is Thursday, April the 25th, 2024. The time now is 1:46 p.m. So, last Tuesday, the United States Senate, okay, passed a bill that basically allocates $95 billion for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, or as the US is saying, the Asia Pacific region. Now, let me make a quick correction, okay? Actually, it is this Tuesday. Today is Thursday. So, what is so interesting is that the next day, Wednesday, Joe Biden signs the bill into law. And there is excitement to this whole thing. And I do believe that there are some implications to this, which in the future, in the long run, when history is rewritten, it is not going to be kind to the US government, especially those warmongers in the US government. Because one thing that this is showing that those who run America, they either do not care about America, they either a suspicious bunch of people who are just in the US government, or they just do not care about their fellow Americans. And I will echo a statement made by Tupac Shakur to illustrate this, okay? So, once again, on Tuesday, the US Senate basically passed a bill which allocates $95 billion for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And Joe Biden, the next day, signs it into law. So, before I continue further, I want to read the description for this program, which I do believe will also serve as a conclusion. And it has two important questions that I do think is relevant for you, the viewers, to know. And also, perhaps you do have answers for these two questions, which I may not have. So I will continue. 95 billions to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. The United States is giving $95 billion to foreign governments to cover their war campaigns, while millions of Americans are having difficulties making a living or dealing with the many detrimental issues in their lives. Rapper and activist Tupac Shakur has never been so right when he warned us in his reference to the government. They got money for war but can't feed the poor. I am going to echo this statement again. I'm going to repeat it. Rapper and activist Tupac Shakur has never been so right when he warned us in his reference to the government. They got money for wars but can't feed the poor. Questions. 1. Is the US currently in a war against China, Russia, and Iran? If so, should the US make an official declaration of war? And I ask this question because the moves that the United States is making, it doesn't promote peace and it doesn't show any evidence of an attempt to promote peace. It is a covert war. If that is the case, just go ahead and declare war. I am an African. I have experienced war and destabilization. And what I think is happening in the world today is kind of like what the slaves, okay, the African slaves in America went through, where they face constant threat by their slave masters. That doesn't work for a human being psychologically, emotionally. It is very impactful in terms of the negativity. We are seeing an intense warmongering coming from the West, most especially the United States. If so, let's just all go to war and end this world. I'm going to ask the next question. Number two, is the United States setting itself up for future agitation by the American people? And I do think this question is very much important. It is significant in that throughout the United States, people are suffering, people are having difficulty making ends meet. Therefore, the idea of giving $95 billion to foreign entities, okay, to countries, while Americans are starving, they are having difficulty paying their rents. Teachers are calling, say they need additional funds or funding. They are calling for an increase in their salary. Okay, the average man in the United States is struggling. There are those who are having to cope with drug abuse and drug addiction. The system is not trying to support them, yet the system is funding wars in somebody else's countries or region. So this question, I think, is very much important because honestly, I sense there is an anger, intense, deep-seated anger in the American masses that with the United States government doing things such as this, it could lead to a very dangerous future and agitation from the people. You are able every time to allocate money for wars, but not for social welfare. So that is just the description for this program, and I do believe it also served as a conclusion. Now, I've been looking at a couple of papers and analyzing a couple of statements being made out there by experts and other people. Whether we are talking about educators, we are talking about government officials, or the average man on American street. And it is very interesting that people are not happy. Some people are confused, some people are not confused, some people have given up. Like many people in my community, in the black and brown community, do not even trust the government no more. And you can see the mistrust, okay? And sentiment like this is also giving birth, okay? It is increasing the likelihood, the proliferation of conspiracy theorists out there or theories out there. Now, one such important articles or headline that I came across getting prepared for this quick talk is from CNN. It is from CNN, and the articles or the headlines title is Senate passes $95 billion package sending aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan after months of delay. I'm going to take a quick pause and bring something in here and clarify something. One being that the way the money is allocated, there will be $61 billion for Ukraine, $26 billion for Israel, and $8 billion for Taiwan. Off the back, it shows the importance of these countries, okay, the level of importance. I am going to say, and I've said it before, if push comes to shove, when you look at American politics, Israel is far more important than Ukraine and Taiwan. But in this case, Ukraine is getting a higher or a larger amount of money. And I do believe this is because, as things stands right now, it doesn't seem as if the Russians will lose to Ukraine. The Russians are winning, or they are going to win. There is a panic throughout the West, okay, that the Russians are winning or could win this war. So what they are doing, they are piling up all their efforts and their resources to defeat Russia. But the sad reality is Ukraine as a country, Ukrainian as people, and my heart to them, will be destroyed. And I do believe what could be the end result of Ukraine could also be a catastrophe for the West and for the world. Because there are those who've been predicting a landlocked Ukraine. Let's assume that becomes the reality. the half of Ukraine that remains. There are those who are also predicting that Poland is planning to take the western half of Ukraine. Let's assume that also becomes a reality. I do believe the Ukrainians who are going to be ending up in the West, they are going to be agitating, because a lot of these people, whether we are talking about the anger that they've felt or they've gone through as a result of the war, or whether they are coming from a specific ideology, they are going to make a very significant impact on Western societies. And many of them will become, who are now the young one, will grow up and become citizens of various Western countries. And they will remember their old countries. They will agitate in these Western countries where they will be serving as government officials to continue the fight and the mistrust against Russia or the Russians. In the long term, that could be a very dangerous future for Europe and for the rest of the world. So the war in Ukraine, whether it's because the Russians invaded or not, the manner in which the West has sustained the war, especially the United States, I do believe it is going to result in a very dangerous and a painful future for humanity. So that is something that I want to stress. And by the way, I am not an expert. I do not present myself as an expert. I am just an African, a black man with an opinion on geopolitics. And please feel free to disagree with me. Help me, let me know what I am missing, what I said wrong, and what I can grow on. Now, in terms of the bill itself, there are a couple of statements by American politicians that I want to highlight. And for this particular article, it's very interesting. You have Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer speaking, and also there is a statement highlighted, okay, in the text from the President Joe Biden, okay, in his excitement to sign the bill into law. So I am going to read the first statement, and it reads, just ahead of the final passage, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer began his brief remarks with finally, finally, finally. And the three finallys are in quotation. Once again, quotation. Tonight, may Vladimir Putin regret the day he questioned American resolve. Quote, and he said. Now, that is a loaded statement, a rhetoric. What do you mean by Vladimir Putin will regret the day he questioned American resolve? Did he question American resolve in public? How did he question American resolve? Where is your evidence? And I'm saying this not to be controversial or disrespectful. I grew up in a world where all I saw was white men talking. White men talk, white men answer question, white men ask question, and the rest of humanity must listen and accept the answer. As a person who is very much driven to engage in global discussion, I want to basically question what Chuck Schumer is saying here. So I'm going to continue. I've been reading from the CNN article or headline, which is titled or entitled, Senate passes 95 billion package sending aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Once again, the way the money is being allocated, 61 billion will go to Ukraine to aid its war effort or war campaign against Russia. 26 billion will go to Israel, and then 8 billion to Taiwan or the Asian Pacific. Now, I did spoke about Chuck Schumer, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the part of the document which I think is probably the most significant part of the document, because It presents sentiments of lip service and falsehood. Yes, I don't know what is happening behind closed doors when it comes to the US government, but I am just trying to look into the statements that are being presented and try to analyze and give a feedback. Now, the article reads, okay, Biden applauded the Senate passage of the legislation in a written statement. The statement is very interesting, and I'm going to read. Quote, I will sign this bill into law and address the American people as soon as it reaches my desk tomorrow so we can begin sending weapons and equipment to Ukraine this week, Biden said. That it sounds like a little child who is just excited because Christmas is coming and he had just received the hottest toy in the market and he can't wait to show his friends. Now, there are situations where kids will receive Christmas gifts, but they cannot wait to return to school in January to sneak their toy from home to school to show it to their friends. That's how this part of the statement sounds to me. The excitement that Biden wants to go and fund the war. Perhaps that could be good for him or for American policy. And actually, I do believe what Biden is doing with Ukraine and Russia, it is not a Biden thing. It is an American thing. It is an American policy. Now, there are many on the right, Republicans, and many throughout America who are very much criticizing Biden. They are doing it, actually, I believe, because Joe Biden is getting choked in Ukraine. But had this war gone according to plan, Vladimir Putin had been dethroned, the Russian economy smashed, like Joe Biden predicted, how he was going to turn the Russian ruble into rubble. You would have heard no criticism against him because the political wave will be on Joe Biden's side or in favor of Joe Biden. But now he is criticized throughout the country over Ukraine because he is choked. Okay? He is being choked in Ukraine. The war is not going according to plan for the government, the Biden government. I'm going to read that statement again and then I'll move on. Once again, it reads, quote, I will sign this bill into law and address the American people as soon as it reaches my desk tomorrow so we can begin sending weapons and equipment to Ukraine this week. Quote end, Biden said. He continued, quote, the need is urgent for Ukraine facing unrelenting bombardment from Russia, for Israel, which just faced unprecedented attack from Iran, for refugees and those impacted by conflicts and natural disasters around the world, including in Gaza, Sudan, and Haiti, and for our partners seeking security and stability in the Indo-Pacific. Quote end. Now, this part of Biden's statement is loaded with what I consider to be nothing but lip service and falsehood. I am going to read it again and then I will provide you my feedback. It reads, quote, open. The need is urgent for Ukraine facing unrelenting bombardment from Russia, for Israel, which just faced unprecedented attack from Iran, for refugees and those impacted by conflicts and natural disasters around the world, including in Gaza, Sudan, Haiti, and for our partners seeking security and stability in the Indo-Pacific. Okay, now he is saying for this and for that, okay, for those and for those. But from what I am reading, the amount being allocated, not every force is receiving any cent from this money that is being allocated. Let me once again repeat. From the document that I'm looking at and what is being presented out there in the news, the allocation of the money. Perhaps there are parts of the bill that present the allocation of some funds for Haiti, Sudan, and Gaza. But for this amount of money that is being projected, and talk about this $95 billion, has nothing to do with Sudan, Gaza, or Haiti. It is nothing but lip service. Now, for Ukraine, facing unrelenting bombardment from Russia, Ukraine gets $61 billion to fight the Russians. Okay? Once again, Ukraine is being given, okay, $61 billion to use its body to fight the Russians, okay, using American and Western bombs and guns and money. Now, for Israel, Israel is an American ally and an American friend. Israel is getting $26 billion. That's between Israel and the United States. But it says that Israel just faced unprecedented attack from Iran. Now, Iran launched at Israel over 300 missiles and drones. The United States claim it intercepted and destroyed about half of it. Israel, on the other hand, claimed that it intercepted and destroyed 95%, okay, the majority of the drones and missiles. That is between Israel and the United States. But the idea of Israel facing an unprecedented attack from Iran, that is true, yes. But how did this attack come about? It started with Israel bombarding Iran's embassy complex or consulate in Damascus, Syria. And then Iran retaliated. That unprecedented attack that Israel faced was the retaliation from Iran. And in fact, Israel did retaliate against Iran's retaliation. Now, for the partners seeking security and stability in the Indo-Pacific, I suggest that means Taiwan. Perhaps the president did not state Taiwan because in that case, it looks as if the United States is actually going at China. By putting this in a written statement, it is in the record. And it doesn't look good for Joe Biden. So he has to say the Indo-Pacific or Asia-Pacific whatsoever. But we are talking about Taiwan. I do believe this is referencing Taiwan. Now, let's talk about the Gaza. Perhaps Joe Biden and the U.S. government has allocated additional funds for Gaza, for Sudan, and for Haiti. But nothing from this $95 billion that is being allocated says nothing about the Gaza, Sudan, or Haiti. So this is nothing but lip service, okay, to provide some significance, some relevance to the $95 billion. Unless I see an account of a specific amount of money being allocated for Haiti, Gaza, and Sudan, this is nothing but lip service. But anyway, it is very interesting what is going on here with this amount of money. Once again, Tupac said it best. They got money for wars but can't feed the poor. And this, the American people are watching. The American government is warmongering every day. The American government wants to bomb everything. The American government is always finding money for some war ventures while people are losing their jobs in America. People are going hungry. I am going to end by once again reading the description for this program, which I believe is relevant to serve as a conclusion, and then I will end. I will continue. $95 billion to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. The United States is giving $95 billion to foreign governments to cover their war campaigns, while millions of Americans are having difficulty making a living or dealing with many detrimental issues. Rapper and activist Tupac Shakur has never been so right when he warned us in reference to the government. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. I am going to read that again. It sounds sweet. Rapper and activist Tupac Shakur has never been so right when he warned us in reference to the government. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. Questions. 1. Is the U.S. currently in a war with China, Russia, North Korea, Iran? If so, should the U.S. make an official declaration of war? The current threat of war, the current reality of warmongering is not good. We are tired of it. Coming from Africa, my country Liberia was destroyed because of a civil war. Today, Sudan is being destroyed. People's lives are being destroyed. Meanwhile, we have a superpower that should take the stage in trying to man the crisis that is going on around the world. Okay? In trying to bring us all together. In fact, it is that same superpower that is funding wars. Question number 2. Is the United States setting itself up for future agitation by the people? They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. Is the United States government setting the United States up for future agitation by the people? Is the United States government setting itself up for future agitation by the people? Once again, Tupac told us they got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. That was the reality in France. That was the reality that sparked the French Revolution. I am going to end here. Thank you very much for watching The Echoing Voice. Peace.